Hi, in the last movie we talked about using filters to create some interesting animated effects, and the piece I had here was this bit of text that snapped in. Um, One thing that's really cool with Flash CS4 is that you can save these motions now and apply them to other objects too. You could do this previously in older versions of Flash, but you would save it as an action and then you would apply that action. Instead, they've made this cool thing called presets. So I'm going to just click on this tween that I have. And in the tween, I'm going to click in here and just choose Save as Motion Preset. We'll type in a name there. Okay, so I've saved this motion preset. Big deal. Well, let's make another symbol. So again, motions are going to have to be applied to another symbol. So I'm going to make a new layer for that symbol. And on this first item, in the first keyframe here, I'll just make a little circle or an oval. And let's convert it into a symbol. So I'm going to go under Modify and just choose Convert to Symbol. And we'll just make it a movie clip. By the way, why movie clip versus graphic? I've explained this a little bit in some other ones, but one thing that you'll notice here, if I choose movie clip, notice that I can apply well, I think I clarified that last time, right? If it's a movie clip, I can apply alpha to it, and I can also apply filters. If it's a graphic, I'll just choose graphic here. I can still apply the alpha setting to it, but the filters property goes away. Also, you can't talk to graphics in ActionScript. When we get into ActionScript down the road, that becomes important. So, movie clips are a little bigger. They make your file size a little bit bigger than graphics, but there are reasons for doing both. I would say for straight-ahead animation, where you need to do something like lip syncing, graphics work really well because the graphic is linked to the timeline, and as you go through the timeline, the graphic moves along with it. A movie clip will always stay on frame 1 as you're scrubbing in the timeline, and then when you run the animation, it'll actually show up. But in any case, in this particular instance, I'm going to use a movie clip because I want to apply this blurring preset to it, and I can't apply a blur to a graphic. So I have the guy selected. If you go under Window, what I want to bring up is Motion Presets. You'll notice it's checked. I'm actually working with 2 monitors, so I'm going to drag up that palette. But if you're working, you would just go under Window and choose Motion Presets. And in here, you'll notice that there are a couple of ones. There's a whole bunch of default presets, which are cool, and I encourage you to goof around with. And then I have some custom presets. I made one before called Horizontal Blur, and then there's this one called Blurry. So I have my movie clip selected, and notice right now it's just it's a single keyframe that persists the course of the animation. So I have the movie clip selected. I choose Blurry and press Apply. And when I do that, it automatically takes on the properties of what I had the text one do. So notice that it clarifies at the same moment and then stays on the screen for the same moment. I can, of course, once it's applied, I can make adjustments to that. So notice it's now working longer, or I could shrink that up so it's slower. So this blur clarifies very quickly. But you start with that motion preset. So that's kind of a cool thing. You make your motion once, and then you can apply it to different objects in the stage. People used to have to copy your keyframes and apply them on all these different ways. Just make a preset. And you know, it's pretty slick. You can come in and choose different presets as well. So let's look in the default one here. Here's fly in blur bottom. So here's another one, and it comes up, and it's nice. You get these little previews. Fly in from the left, fly in from the right. Let's do the bottom one. I'm going to just apply that. And it says, do you want to replace the current motion? And yeah, I do. And when I do that, notice that it zooms in, and of course it's set right now to be at the size of the original. So I can make that adjustment. I'll just come up here and drag this down, so now it ends up at the top. And it blurs in and stops. And again, if you want something to persist, you can click and drag out, and now it'll persist for those extra little frames while the other one works. If we test this, there you go. See how snappy the type 1 looks compared to this one? It's kind of strange to see this blur take so long to develop when the text just pops in. It's kind of what I was talking about in the last movie where I talked about getting your timing down. So this blur takes a long time to develop, and it works great because I'm just copying from that preset. You can apply other ones and change the length to improve it or make it work better or worse, I suppose. So let's just drag this in a bit, and I'll drag out more frames here. Let's test it one more time. Okay, so now it comes together a little bit faster. Pretty cool, huh? Very little work. And when you do make the work, go ahead and save it as a preset so that you can use it elsewhere. By the way, these presets that are custom, they carry across different documents. I made the horizontal blur. I believe I made that in a separate document. Maybe you shouldn't hold me to that. Try it out for yourself and see what happens. But I think they live across documents. But anyway, that's kind of a new cool thing with CS4 is the ability to save a motion and apply it to other objects. Remember, the object needs to be a movie clip or a button or text for that blur to apply. Let's try that with text here. I'm going to come in and make another frame. Let's just type in text. We'll set it down at the bottom, and I'll apply that fly in blur bottom to my text. Yep, here it is. Notice that it's running a little slower, and then it disappears those extra frames. If I want to extend that, I can just click and drag this guy out, and now it stays the whole length of the animation. Pretty cool. Well, now at this point, you should have a lot of tools in your tool chest to be able to get a banner ad with some motion in it. The next movie that I'm going to put together is going to discuss timing, so that now I've given you enough rope to hang yourself, so now the intent is to try not to do that. Make something that looks good but doesn't have motion everywhere. Okay, thanks.